So you got the gig, but what do you take to it? Hey guys, how you doing? It's Martin Cliffe here. Welcome to another video, welcome to my channel, welcome to my studio here in Bucharest, Romania, or at least my bedroom. This video has been a slightly long time in the making. It was inspired by a video called What's in My Guitar Bag 2022 by a minimalist musician, which was published on the 10th of March. And I'm actually filming this only on the 15th of March, but I think it's going to be like end of June before this goes live. As I explained in a video a few weeks ago, as you're watching this, life is complicated at the moment, so I'm just trying to get as big a stock of videos filmed as early as I can in the gaps between the crazy. But yeah, I'm in a minute going to flip the camera around, pull out my guitar bag and my pedal board bag and just talk through what I would take to a hypothetical gig. Here in Bucharest, the state of emergency for COVID was only officially dropped 6 days ago as I'm filming this, so there are no gigs yet, and I don't have any musical connections because I've never known Bucharest not under COVID. So it's going to be a process and maybe a while before I actually get to a gig, but I like to be prepared. So we'll look through what I carry in my guitar case and what I carry in my pedal board bag. But first, coffee. So before we go any further, click that thumbs up icon, that's very much appreciated. Subscribe if you're not already. Comment down below if you carry similar or different stuff. I think we're all slightly different, possibly slightly different levels of OCD, but let's get right to it. That's better. So I guess the first question before what's in the bag is, what is the bag? Well, I would typically, other than my amps, take 2 bags to an average gig, maybe an extra one if I've got extra stuff I need to take, particularly if I'm singing lead or something. But generally the guitar bag is a mono M80 Double Gig Bag. I've had this a long time. I have 2 of them. I have 2 doubles and 2 singles. They're just really super reliable. Not sponsored, I just really like mono gear. It's really good quality stuff. It's not cheap, but you know, I've literally checked a guitar in a mono bag on a plane. Not worried about it. It's, you know, these are really tough. So yeah, it's worth the investment to me. They have, apologise for some of the awkward angles and lighting and stuff. They have shoulder straps that tuck in the back when you're not using them, which is really nice because it's quite heavy with 2 guitars and a lot of other stuff in. So it's not something you would necessarily want to carry around all the time, and being able to tuck them in just prevents them catching on stuff, which is a bit of a faff and what I don't like about so many other gig bags. And then we have my mono pedal board bag. This is a mono Club 2 bag, I believe. It has the mono small pedal board, which is about Pedal Train Junior kind of size, but it's a much better quality bag than the Pedal Train bags. The board is a little bit lighter and just feels a little bit more slick. Again, expensive. Not so bad now you get the bag with the board. For a while you got the board and the bag separately, which was slightly annoying because they were serious money, but they're basically half the price now. You get both together for the same money. And in here, what I keep is fairly straightforward, a little tricky to show, but in the large front pocket I have my iPad. It's an old, I think it's 9.7 inch iPad Pro. I've had it a long time. It has all my charts and stuff. A lot of the time, like if I'm playing at church and stuff, all I'll do is I'll drop PDFs into books, and then I can use a Bluetooth foot switch just to flick between them. That's a church at the moment, so I can't show that. And then also in this front pocket, I have 2 really long cables. I think these are 30 feet or something like that, 10 meters, 9 meters. They've got a nitric right angle jack on one end and a nitric straight jack on the other end, so it kind of covers all eventualities. This is Soma cable, the Spirit XXL, which is a slightly ugly, strange looking brown cable, but it sounds great. It's pretty low capacitance, so for long cable runs it's good. The reason I carry long cable runs is because you never know where your amps are going to be relative to your pedal board, so it's often easier just to have longer cables, and you can always coil them up rather than shorter cables. I know are lighter weight and stuff, but when you need a long cable, there's nothing more annoying than not having one. This front pocket also has a little pouch here which you can store stuff in, so I might put some important documents or whatever in there if I need to, maybe just some spare picks, or if it's like an overnight show, it's a convenient place just to put a basic wash bag, toothbrush and toothpaste and that kind of thing in there, just to save, it's literally just one overnight. Not done any of those for a while, but handy little storage space just to keep stuff separate. And then in the main compartment, you've all seen the pedal board before. I've got my cab mics. These are Sennheiser E906s. I've used these on my guitar cabs for a long time. Nothing wrong with a 57, but when accompanied with a amp clamp, WT Pro with the AV609 little attachment, they go really close to the cab. They don't stick out at all. It's just one less thing to get knocked. Pretty straightforward. So there's two of those in there as well. Obviously a power cable. I have my board set up with a sort of trailing IEC connector so that I can plug into whatever kettle lead of wherever I am. I use a Strymon Zoomer power supply, so it will work in any voltage. I think from like 90 to 265 or something, which is cover anywhere in the world as long as things are operating normally. At the moment we're in mainland Europe, so I'm using a mainland Europe one, but in Hong Kong and the UK or whatever I would use a UK style one. This is relatively short. I don't have any really long ones. I do have some long IEC to IEC leads, 5 meters, which usually I'll carry. Wasn't entirely sure where they were as I was filming this video. Things are a little bit crazy at the moment. And then the board itself, which we've seen on the channel many times before, covers most of the eventualities. On the underneath, that's the trailing power cable. Guitar plugs in here, amps plug in here, jobs are good. Don't use effects loops. Personally, I tend to run my amps pretty clean. So the way this is set up in terms of pedals, let me just get the case around out of the way. Primarily, the Sheba drive is used for a humbucker guitar, blue in this case. The Little Green Wonder is used for my single coil guitar, all red. And then I tend to use the raw blue overdrive as like a dirty channel. So I'll stack that if I want more gain. And also, it's just basically my overdrive channel because I don't want to mess with channel switching of my amps, because then I can't run delay in front of them very easily and all that kind of stuff. So that's the board. It's not the smallest board, it's not the lightest board, but it covers all my needs for 99% of the gigs I do, or have done over the last however many years. So it's been a while. I think for most of us we haven't done many gigs in the last 2 years, but hopefully that will come back soon. And there you see the Zoomer and the OJ underneath, providing power to everything nice and clean and precise. These guitar bags have a kind of Z fold system, which is kind of useful in some ways. It helps in terms of structural integrity and stuff, but it can make opening it a little tricky sometimes. In the back, surprise surprise, we have Old Red. I've got the straps attached at the moment. My main reason for that being that they fit in better like this. There are a few extra picks in the little zip up pocket on this headlock thing, which keeps the neck secure. Fret protector, stainless steel frets. You don't really want to risk getting dinged because they're much more difficult to repair than nickel frets. So a fret protector in there, in between the strings and the frets, just helps it in case anything gets banged on the thing. Yeah, there's Old Red, no surprise there. My 3 single coil guitar, featured on many videos in this channel. Definitely a favourite. And then in the front main pocket, again probably no surprise. Trying not to knock the tripod, apologise if this is a slightly odd angle. Again, a few more picks in the headlock, but we have blue, fret protector, strap, good to go. And this is my main baby. This is the guitar I will play probably 60–70% of a typical gig on. Yeah, love it. Obviously different types of gigs may call for different guitars. If I'm doing more of a classic rock kind of thing, maybe I will take a Tele or something as well as a humbucker guitar. Or if I'm doing a gig in E flat, I wouldn't necessarily take blue and Old Red because those are set up for E. And yeah, the string gauges I've got work best for that. So I would probably take Storm or something if I'm playing an E flat, and maybe the Tele or maybe a Les Paul, although I'd prefer not to gig with a Les Paul. They're just a little bit fragile to my tastes. But all the interesting stuff is kind of in the front of the bag. There's 2 pockets. There's this big pocket down here. You can attach a tick to it. I have a couple of those that are useful, you know, if I'm doing something where I need to take extra water or snacks or clothes or something like that, I can just clip that to it. I tend not to use it for anything too heavy unless I need specifically to take guitar stands, in which case a couple of guitar stands will fit in a tick on the front. This pocket is a little tricky to open, but in here we have, it says 2 Beta 57s, but it has only got 1 in at the moment. But I, for one, always carry my own vocal mic. Even before COVID, I've been doing this for many years. And it's always, for me, a Shure Beta 57A. Just the mic that best suits my voice, I find. I used to have a Beta 58A and I lost it. The 57As I think were a little bit cheaper at the time, and I've just grown used to it. I have 6 of these now for different things. So usually if I'm putting on a show, all my vocal mics are 57As. There's just something about the sound of a Shure SM58 that I know it's kind of the go-to thing, but it doesn't particularly suit my voice, so I just prefer to go for something it has a little bit more high end. My voice, being a baritone, has a little bit too much kind of low end, a lower mid resonance, and I feel the 58 kind of enhances that in a not particularly favourable way. Next in here I have my iPad holder from K&M. Usually I will have an arm attached to it, but that I left at church by accident this week, and I have others somewhere in the storage somewhere. I have a mic cable because with using 2 amps, sometimes they won't have enough cables. Sometimes you just need a mic to be slightly further away, and XLRs obviously you can daisy chain. Sometimes they give you like a lurid pink mic cable or something, or it's a crappy one that's kind of falling apart. So carrying a spare mic cable, it's only a fairly short one this, I think it's like 2.5 meters, whatever that is in feet. 8 feet, I guess. But yeah, always good to carry a spare mic cable. I will always carry at least 1 coily cord. This one is my red one. I have 4 of these. These are the lava cable. I think it's called a super coil. Basically it's a really long retro coil. So it's a 35 foot if it was all uncoiled. I replaced the end that goes into the guitar with a nitric jack just for a bit of extra security. Not the biggest fan in the world of these kind of metal jacks. And I have a little Schaefer Tech locked kind of leather tab on here which enables me to clip the cable to my strap, so I don't have to do the looping through the strap button. Instead I can clip it to the strap itself. It's pretty secure. It has a cable loop, and in here I just carry a straight cable. I think this is probably 6 meters, 20 feet, maybe a little shorter. It's just a Planet Waves one. This particular one has a straight nitric jack on because the end got damaged. And then in the little flap for strings, we have strings, surprisingly enough. So I will carry, in this case, a couple of sets of NYXL 9.5 to 44s, but I don't actually use 9.5 to 44 specifically. So I carry a couple of 48s for my low E string. I just prefer the extra tension. In a snap, I could cope with a 44. And I also have a little pack which currently has 3 of the 9.5 high E's, because high E strings are the ones you're most likely to break. And then we get to this top end bit. Second attempt at filming this section. It generally helps to press record on your camera. So different angle, but in this top compartment, on the little key fob, it's great for attaching keys to, which obviously I would do if I needed to, if I wanted to keep them safe during a gig. Just got a little key fob that holds some picks. There are spare picks everywhere. You can never have too many spare picks. I keep a cloth. This is an Ibanez Prestige Shine Tex cloth. I really like it because it's got the kind of soft microfiber on one side and like chamois leather on the other side, so it's good for all manner of cleaning guitar, whether it's just a sweat at the end of a gig or you spill something on something or whatever. It's a really useful cloth. Haven't managed to get hold of any more recently, but I stockpiled them a couple of years ago, so that's useful. In terms of tools, I carry a Phillips screwdriver. This is a Stanley Fax. In terms of tools, I carry a couple of screwdrivers. This is a Stanley FatMax PZ0 by 75mm. For some things, it's handy to have a slightly larger head, like a PZ1 or a PZ2, particularly for like changing tubes. But generally, for guitar maintenance, a smaller screwdriver is more useful than a bigger one. So, yeah, I like these FatMax screwdrivers because even though they're quite slimline, the bulb at the end makes it a bit easier to grip. So there's a flat crosshead one, and then there is a flat one. This is a 3mm by 75. I have a 2mm somewhere, which is more useful for getting in for like control knobs and stuff, which usually I would carry as well, but not 100% certain where that is. That might be in the UK at the moment. A couple of Allen wrenches, 1.5 and 2mm. I like screwdriver type ones, they're easier to work with. These have ball heads on the end, so if you can't get the angle quite in, that's all good. These are from Kennedy Tools in the UK. I carry a set of string cutters. These are Groove Tech ones. I've seen ones with different brands all over the place. As long as they'll cut strings, they're all good. A little 150mm 6-inch ruler, just for guitar setup, works as a straight edge. Also useful if you've got a floating bridge and you need to change a string, you can kind of jam it behind the bridge and it stops it pulling back too far, so things don't go too far out of whack, hopefully. Yeah, always a useful tool to have. Black Sharpie, you never know when you might need to make a note on a chart or a set list or something, sign an autograph, give contact details, whatever it is. Always carry some kind of pen, and Sharpies generally are universally useful because they're waterproof. Also, if you need to label something in a pinch, although they're a pain in the butt to try and get off afterwards. And then the more kind of guitar-y stuff, I have not one but 2 capos, call them what you will. These are the Dario Ned Steinberger design. I like them, particularly for electric, because they're really light, they're really quick to adjust, and they don't cause too many tuning issues because of the variable tension. which I've had issues with other ones. I think I've got some Sharpie capos that I use for my acoustics, but these I like for electric. I carry a glass slide. This is a rock slide. I like it because it's slightly shaped. It's small, it fits on my ring finger, which is where I tend to place the slide. I think it's the medium size. Don't play a lot of slide, but you never know when you may need one, or when someone else in your band may need one if has forgotten one. Also carry a ceramic slide. This is a mud slide 264. Again, it's medium size, it's a shorter length. These are hard to find. Dunlop license a lot of the mud slide stuff. For some reason don't seem to carry this particular size, but you can get them from slideguitarstore.com. Not sponsored. I have a couple of fret wraps, one for each guitar. Don't use them a lot, handy to have if you need them. Definitely looks better on stage than an old sock. And then I have a little bag of spare bits for the kind of things that hopefully you would never need to change on the fly, but if you do, it's handy to have, or at least like in a hotel room or backstage if you've got a bit of spare time and something needs fixing. So I have a spare tremolo spring, even with a tremolo no. If the worst happens and a couple of springs came off, you might have some issues with the locking mechanism and stuff. So that's handy. I have a couple of spare locks, the head and the strap attachment part that I keep together. Getting one for each guitar. So if I was only taking a single guitar, I'd probably only have one of these things. I have two of. They can fail. I've never had them fail, but things happen in gigs that you would never expect. So there's a couple of those. And also the little locks tool for fixing, attaching, whatever else. It's not the easiest way to do it particularly if you need to replace the strap button, which I also have a couple of those little locks strap buttons. It's much easier with a proper 9mm hex wrench, but at a pinch you can use these for that. As I said, two of these, one for each guitar. These are the locks heads that replace the strap buttons on a standard guitar. I'm so into the locks infrastructure now that I'm not saying I would struggle to use a normal strap, but they're definitely something I much prefer. I have a couple of spare tuner buttons because I use the plastic pearloid tuner buttons. They're not as tough as the metal ones, so should the worst happen, something gets dropped on the headstock and a tuner button breaks, I carry, again, one for each guitar of those, along with the screws. I have a spare pot, 500k, it's a Bourne's pot. This one's a really good quality one. Again, not something you're going to change in the fly, but if you go an hour or so and you can get access to a soldering iron, which I might carry in my toolbox anyway, if I'm doing particularly a longer run of gigs, useful to have. Spare pickup selector switch tip, because I use weird chrome ones. Spare knob, this is, I think Charla makes these, they're chrome, they're really good quality. I guess at a pinch I could take one off the tone control, but it's useful to have. And a spare output jack, again something that would be a little bit of a bigger job, but this is a pure tone output jack. They're really good quality, I find, so useful to have a spare just in case. And that feels like everything in there. Now situations may change from gig to gig, but that pretty much covers what I keep in here as a day-to-day basis. Some things in a single guitar bag I would only carry one of instead of two, but generally I keep all this stuff in all my guitar cases ready to go. If it was a different type of guitar or bass, maybe I'd have different sizes of Allen keys, but always useful to be prepared. So thanks for watching. I hope that's been of interest, just a little bit of an insight into how I would prepare for a live show, or some of the things I make sure I have with me just in case. Make sure you click that thumbs up icon, subscribe to the channel if you're not already. Comment down below if there's anything really different that you take. Where I gig, I can usually find good coffee, so I don't take my own coffee maker, unlike Minimalist Musician, but I fully appreciate where he's coming from. Yeah, I think that covers everything. Until next time, take care, and I'll see you soon.